Hey John, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good morning, Shane. How are you, man? How you
Good,
doing?
good, thank you. How are you holding up with this quarantine right now?
Good, man. Good as we can. You push forward like you can, and it's good quality time with the family for sure. I saw your comment yesterday. It was pretty funny. That reminded me of mine. That you yell at your kids more in the last 2 weeks than you have their entire lives. And yeah, I actually had a day the other day where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to yell at my son today, no matter what he does.
Oh,
And
that's
and
cool.
he still found a way to do some insanely just mind-bending things. But there you go.
Oh yeah, they I don't know. We remind them same thing 10 times and they still do it. It's driving me crazy. But yeah,
It's
the yelling is actually there, but I just love the quality times. One thing I noticed that when you realize this, we probably will never have this opportunity again to be with our family and kids every day for 45 days straight.
no, no.
It's just not going to happen. You and I work and we don't get home until 5 p.m. and those are the only quality times we have with them. And when we do, they still have homework and we only have the weekends with them. So this is a great opportunity to get connected and be really close to our family.
No, without question, I definitely have seen a difference in how my kids engage with me just in the time that I've been home now. So yeah, it's definitely gonna, when this goes back to normal or whatever the new normal is, we're definitely gonna change how much time I spend with my kids.
Yeah. Yes, obviously. I want to first of all, I just want to say, I reached out to you to do videos because you always have the right message sent out to the agents. You've always been very helpful, always come up with awesome tips out there. And it just got my attention. I go, hey man, I just want to talk to John and talk more about this and see what information I can get out of you so we can help the agents and everybody out there
Yeah.
who's struggling right now.
No, and I appreciate you doing that. Obviously, this is a new situation for all of us. We've never dealt with anything like this. In any time of crisis or opportunity, I tend to circle the wagons a little bit around our little Simply family and engage with them on a much better basis than I tend to do, helping everybody out there as far as across the realtor world. So yeah, it's good to get back and see where we can help other folks. So.
Awesome, awesome. Let's go straight to the real estate market. Right now,
Sure.
I see that we have active listings 7,600. Pending, we have 3,900 pending right now.
Mhm.
And since the shutdown, we had 1,600 closings, right?
Mhm.
What do you think is going to happen the next 2-3 months? Do the numbers still look this good, or what do you think in the 2 months?
Well, the first thing I want to say is, again, this is one of those events that we have no idea how to react to it. We've never seen anything like this. Now, I think that any economist with any type of responsibility would say this is going to trickle through all realms of our economy, especially here in Las Vegas. When you had the 240,000 people lose their jobs in one day, that was a major hit. And those people spend money in other businesses throughout our community that they take a hit as well. So I think it'd be very naive to say that we're not going to see a slowdown in business. We're not going to see a slowdown. I think a lot of people right now, it's almost like a false sense of hope because there's a lot of deals getting done. And don't get me wrong. I'm going to tell you some tips that go through this. If you work smart and you do some things, you can still make a living doing this through this tragedy. But you have to be responsible and expect a decline in your business. You just have to expect that. And I think that the people that do that are honest with themselves are going to be okay. But I think the people that are closing deals right now are people that were probably already in the process somewhere before this even really happened. And now when you get into 2 or 3 months from now, you're going to start to see a little bit of a slowdown. Now, here's what you have to remember though. These people that want to buy houses that would normally be buying them in the next month, 2 months, that fall into that category of being fearful, which is why they're not buying them, or they got laid off or they had a problem. Those people, their desire to own a home is not going to go away. They're just getting stacked further in the year. So what I'm predicting is, yes, we're going to see a slowdown in the immediate future, but those deals aren't going away. They're just getting pushed to a position in the future where you can, if you position yourself properly, you'll still be there to close.
Okay. Now you mentioned about the unemployment, 240 something thousand people lost their job. And when the casinos and all the big businesses out there reopen, what do you think the chance of hiring then back? Do you think 50% will get the jobs back, 60%? What number do you think?
I think you're gonna see a lot of, one of the things that came down last night was they finally kind of had the guidelines on the SBA Paycheck Protection Plan. Now, granted, the casinos aren't affected by this because it's bigger, but there will be something similar for the larger corporations, especially in Vegas and casinos. If you don't think that Trump is going to take care of Sheldon, he's going to take care of Sheldon. That's his largest single contributor. He's going to take care of him. But yesterday it came out finally guidelines for the Paycheck Protection Program. If you are an agent that employs an assistant, you employ a couple of assistants, you need to call your bank now, assuming that your bank does SBA, because starting April the 3rd, you'll be able to apply for 2.5 basically months of your payroll. And even if you're on payroll, of your payroll, and you can keep these people employed, keep these people paid, and it's any company with less than 500 people, and if you're a realtor and you have your own corporation, anybody would appeal for that. And you're basically going to get 2.5 months forgivable debt to keep those people employed. So I think that what you're going to see is the government is really going to incentivize the casinos too to bring everyone back. It's easier for them. They would rather have those people get their jobs back and continue to work and pay for them for several months than to go on unemployment, where they now have the adjusted unemployment, where I think they can get an extra $600 a month or whatever it is, or $600 a week, sorry, because they're scared, or at least part of the Congress is scared, that people are going to go on unemployment and it's going to be worth more for them to stay on unemployment than go back to work. And I think that's why the government's really trying to incentivize businesses to reemploy people. So I think we're going to see a very, very large percentage of the casino employees go back to work.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about real estate agents applying for unemployment. Right now, it's estimated we have 16,000 agents, and there are many agents that are fairly new. Who qualifies for unemployment? Who does not? How do they figure that out? Do you know?
Yep. They said that now if you're a gig employee or you're 1099, you're self-employed, like all of us are. They said that now you're going to be eligible for unemployment benefits. Now, from what I've understood from people that have been trying to call, it is an absolute disaster trying to get through. So if you are eligible for any of those benefits, find out and take advantage of them. Guys, this is not a time to be proud. This is a time to be smart and take care of your family and take advantage of anything that you can get that's going to push you forward. And you have to do that. Whenever I said the calls are long, the lines are busy. So, start doing that. Don't give up if you're eligible. Keep pushing forward.
So is it mostly phone calls? Can we still do it online?
From what I understand, it's been the phone calls is what I've heard. I've heard the online system is not that great. But yeah, there's that. I'm hoping NAR will come out with some more information by the end of the week, laying out exactly how real estate agents can apply for that. They've been a little slow there, but again, I don't blame them. It's a developing situation that, like I said, it's never happened. So.
Right. I know you're a real estate broker, but I'm going to have a mortgage question for you.
Huh?
I'm going to have a question.
As far as I'm not a mortgage broker, but we do own a mortgage company as well. So we are we own it. We're completely vertically integrated in the Simply family. We own mortgage, title, insurance, we own everything. Yeah, we do own everything. But I had a meeting last night with the guy that runs our mortgage company, and just talking about. You could see a little bit of the stress in his face. Again, not going to quote rates or that stuff, but just the general feeling and climate of the mortgage industry is interesting. And it's the programs and guidelines are changing in some cases by the hour. Non-QM, non-traditional mortgage-backed mortgages are dead right now. They're very hard to get. Thank God I was refining my house. I had locked a rate already. If you're past the rate lock, it's a little easier, but I got 31 steps requested for a refi on my own personal house. And that's the most stuff I've ever gotten requested as far as documentation on a mortgage. It was crazy. So, if you're dealing with clients that are getting mortgages, again, it's one of my things I was going to talk about in a little bit. But you've got to have a conversation with your clients and really stress with them the chaos in the mortgage market. Yes, there's low rates. Yes, there's great opportunity there, but you've got to go into it understanding that what you qualify for right now might change tomorrow. What you have to provide them with today might change tomorrow. You just have to be really flexible dealing with your lender. And as long as you prep your clients up front for that type of environment, they should be okay with it. It's when you don't communicate that stuff properly that they tend to get stressed out and mad. And, well, why does this guy need this now? This is ridiculous. And, you've got to prep them for that type of an experience right now.
What's going on in the luxury mortgage? Can you say anything about that?
Oh man, yeah. Yesterday I had a great showing, one of my high-end listings, and I was talking to the client, and he was like, here's the deal. Bank of America, he was in contract on a new build, and he's a little leery with that right now because he just went into contract with it, and just with the climate of getting stuff done, or he's like, man, I've seen this story before. I'd rather have, his wife is pregnant. He's like, I'd rather have something I can move into right now and just get through this and get done. And he hadn't locked a rate. He's private bank with B of A. And even B of A is like this right now with that. So he said he was going to talk to them today. And if he couldn't pull down favorable terms with B of A through the private bank, then we're going to work a deal with my seller to do seller carryback for 9 to 10 months. Now, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. You'll see a lot more private mortgages in the high end than you will just because of the volatility that's going on.
Is it true that right now the criteria to get a loan changes every day?
It changes every hour in some cases. You look at the refis. One of the things I can tell you, like yesterday was in a month, and we gauge everything by, when you look at the title business, I'll talk about that a little bit. When you look at the title and escrow business, we gauge a lot about, it's a really easy business to project the future because you base it on openings. How many files got opened? Well, we at Clear last month had a record month. I mean, we opened more deals last month than that business ever has. Now, granted, the percentage of purchases to refis got completely switched, and the refis went through the roof. And everybody knows, 3 weeks ago, everybody was refining their houses. Everybody wanted to refi. Well, what we saw from that was, especially in some spaces like VA, certain lenders started pumping the brakes and would jack the VA rates like 2 or 3 points in a day just to stop the flow of getting VA refinances. So I think you're looking at the banks are kind of, in some cases, with the sheer amount of refis happening, scrambling a little bit. They're a little freaked out. And I think that's also causing a ripple effect into servicing, which are the people that actually collect your mortgage payments, because for them to make money on a loan, they have to service it for a couple of years. And
right.
All of these files are getting washed like this and turned over in refis. It's going to cause a major problem for the servicers.
I want to ask you a question about iBuyers. Why did the iBuyers go away? And in this time, what should an agent do when iBuyers are not around?
Okay, well, I mean, why did the iBuyers go away? I think it's really obvious because the iBuyers' business model is to strip equity from the American homeowner. And when they fear that there's no equity to strip because they're fearful that the markets will drop, they're going to stop buying. It's what they're going to do. But, like everything else, fads come and go with the markets. They always do. And what is the one stable thing that always happens? It's us. I posted something on Facebook maybe last week when the iBuyers pulled out, and it was a Superman logo, but it had the realtor logo in the middle of it. And it was like, well, guess who's here to save the day? And that's us.
I love that.
I mean, fads come and go, guys. We are always here to stay. And the iBuyers are doing some really interesting things right now. I mean, we had one of our agents had a client that called him and said, hey, I was in contract for Zillow to buy my house, and they just offered me $5,000 to not buy my house. So I took it. It was like, wow. Their economists are projecting a slowdown in the market. They're projecting the prices will go down. But, like everything with any market, there's opportunity. So, if I'm an agent, which shockingly enough I am, and you're an agent, there we go, we're all agents. What am I telling our people to do right now? What are our people working on? What are we doing? The ethos, if you will, for what we're going with is you got to go guerrilla. This is it, man. You got to think like guerrilla warfare. Like, what if I was going to the jungle to fight a battle tomorrow? How much can I strip it down and still be successful and achieve my objective? And the first thing I'm saying is, the first place I tell everybody to look is go to your credit card. As realtors, we have what I like to call the cat shiny object thing, where like you'll go on a webinar and they'll show you today's latest tech, and you're like, oh, I gotta have that. Oh, I gotta have that. I gotta have that. I gotta have that. And then you wind up with like 30 subscriptions to all these different things that you don't even really think about because they're not that expensive, but they're just expensive enough. They're $29, they're $19, they're $40, whatever they are. You got to go through your credit card bill and you got to start stripping away stuff that doesn't make sense. If you're not using it on the daily, if it's not generating a return on investment, you've got to get rid of it. That has to do. Now, the next thing that I would say you have to do is you've got to kind of change your lead strategy. And when you go through this, as you're ripping through your credit card bill, you need to create a new budget. Today's the first day of Q2. If you don't do a quarterly business plan, I recommend you doing it. A lot of people like to do them once a year. In a climate like this, I mean, you need to rip that down to at least a quarter, maybe by the month. But when you go through your bills and you figure out what you can strip away, you need to come up with a budget of what you can spend. You still got to spend some money offensively. You have to. There's defense and offense. You've got to still spend money offensively. And I think the first part of that is going into you have to look at how much money you have to spend. Now, if you don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing, you need to shift to a hyper local marketing campaign. It's what you need to do. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people getting on airplanes from New York and coming to look at property in Vegas right now. So you need to be trying to market towards people that are local and have a high probability of actually wanting to do something right now. If you have a lot of dollars, well, then you can you can keep that broad approach. You can keep marketing to other parts of the country. Because remember, like I talked about earlier, we're just stacking these deals forward. If you've got the money to continue that broad reach approach, you can continue to do it. Now, what if you have no money, Shane? What if you're like, oh my God, I mean, today's April 1st, let's face it.
What if you have
There's a lot of people. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that got bills to pay today that are probably sitting there freaking out like, well, this is great. I mean, who has a market budget? I don't have any money. And unfortunately, a lot of our agents in the LVR, whatever it is, probably are fit in this situation right now. Well, besides the fact of doing what you got to do to try to take care of your family through unemployment or whatever you can get, this is a great time to really start working your database in a very smart and strategic manner. The first thing I would say is, if you got no money, this is the hardest part of this whole thing. You got to get up and you got to work. You got to get up. I mean, I love that you're in a suit right now. You don't have to be. I don't know if you have showings today or what you got up and you're like, I'm going to
prepare for my next listing. So I most likely may get a listing today.
Well, here's the point. Here's the point. You're dressing for the day that you want, not the day that you have. And I think right now in this climate, I mean, I just got done with a run, which is the only reason I'm still wearing this, but I think this climate, that's what most people are doing. How many of you guys are sitting around right now in sweatpants and I'm talking about, you're watching this on a replay and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you still got your night jammies that become your day jammies. Hugh Hefner's not watching this because he's dead. And even if he was still alive, he wouldn't be watching this. But there's no reason to be rolling around in jammies all day. You got to get dressed for the day you want. It's the hardest thing you're going to have to do is still get up and go to work. Now, the second thing is you got to systematically work your database. You've got to get in. If you haven't gone in and reset your Facebook algorithms by systematically rolling all of your friends, all of your clients into an Excel spreadsheet, and then systematically engaging with their posts and checking off that you did it to change that they're now seeing your posts, this is a great time to do that. It's a great time to work old leads that you have. Call them. Remember, in real estate, there's no such thing as a bad lead. If you've got a name and a phone number, perfect, because especially with internet leads, they could have started looking for a house 2.5 years before they needed one. Right. Today might be the day. Get back in that database, start calling, because we talked about this yesterday. People have nothing better to do right now, Shane, than answer the phone, right?
Right.
I mean, how many good conversations are you having?
A lot. I try to call as many people as I can because now's like the perfect time to call because a lot of people are at home.
It's the best time to call. The best time to call.
You mentioned.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're making these calls, you've got to put these people in 2 buckets, and you got to be honest with them. Honest with yourself about the buckets, because I think as agents, that's one of the big problems that we make is we're not honest with ourselves about people's real intentions because we want to believe that proof of funds that's on a Word document is real. We want to believe that these people are going to come out in a couple of weeks and buy a house cash. You got to be really honest with yourself about what your leads' real intentions are. And really, there's only 2 buckets you should be putting them in right now. There's want to do something, and there's have to do something. And all of your energy should be focused on have to do something. Want to do something will come back around in a couple of months when this changes.
Right.
Want to do something is where you need to put your energy. And there's 2 questions as you're talking to these people that we haven't really asked before. And these are new questions that are coming out of this new market. And those two questions are this. Number one, how secure do you feel about your job? I mean, you've got to ask these people, do you feel very secure that you're going to have a job for the long run? That's a hard question to ask people. I mean, we ask a lot of personal questions. That's a really personal question. And the reason you have to ask that is because that information, again, this is not a good time to try to sell people or close people. This is a good time to advise people. Now, if somebody tells me, well, we really need a house, I want to do this, but my job seems secure right now, but I'm worried maybe in 3 months I might get laid off. Well, then you've got to make a decision based on that information. Right now, while you're employed and have been employed, you qualify for a mortgage. If you get into a mortgage, there's probably going to, they're already laying out some sort of mortgage forbearance in this system, whatever it looks like. Would it be easier to get mortgage forbearance through a government program and live like that for 9 months, or try to figure out how to pay your rent? That's probably an easier question to ask people. But the second question you got to ask people is this, because people are really falling on two sides of the fence here: fear of this coronavirus of the market and greed for their low rates. So you got to kind of figure out where they fall. The next question is, how comfortable are you looking at some properties with limited exposure, and we'll obviously practice social distancing to keep you safe? How comfortable are you with that scenario to take advantage of today's low rates? That is a closing question, because it's not really, you're not selling, it's an honest question you need to ask. But that question will probably tell you everything you need to know about, is this person really going to go look at houses?
Unbelievable coaching advice today. I learned so much from you.
Stop it. You're killing me.
You mentioned about defense spending, which is cutting down the cost, but you also mentioned it's very important to have offense spending. What do you mean by that, the difference?
Well, I look at all money in and out of my business is offense and defense. Defense is support stuff. It's work that, TC work. Do I have some programs that make my life a little easier? Is it stuff that I could be doing myself? That's defensive money. Offensive money is money that I can spin out that has a return on investment. Lead gen. It's money I'm spending on leads. That's what I'm talking about when I say offense and defense. I always try to cut defense before I'll cut offense, because if you're not bringing anything in, there's no reason to have anything that's going to help support it.
In terms of percentage, at what break point would you cut down on your offense spending when you realize the return is not there? At what point?
Well, I think anything. I mean, I track everything. I'm a numbers and data junkie. Whenever we're talking about doing business plans right now, I don't ever focus on more than three things as far as ways to generate business. I pick three that I go with. One of them is going to be tried and true that's been working. The second one is probably my second tried and true. And then the third one might be something that I'm going to try. That's experimental, that I look at, but I track it very closely. If it's not making money, if it's not being successful, then I'll cut it and add something else. But never try to focus on more than 3 ways of lead gen, 3 ways of making, 3 ways of investing money into your real estate business, because you just can't track it effectively. But this is, that's not a crisis habit. That should be a habit that you're just running all the time.
Awesome advice. What I spoke to you on the phone earlier. What do you mean by, it seems like a lot of agents looks like they're on vacation? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you got to remember, perception is reality. And one of the things that I can tell you that is like this, and again, it's like a mirror. If your clients see you and they see you on social media and all you're doing is working out or sitting by the pool and you're on vacation, it doesn't look like you're working. And you are limiting yourself, because again, we Google every product we ever buy. If somebody's talking to you on the phone, lead gen, and they Google you and you're sitting by your pool all day, you don't look like you're working. Right now in crisis, people want to work with the people most equipped to help them with what they need. Now, the only good news, if there is a silver lining to any crisis that happens in real estate, is everybody, I think, if you're good at this job, you're competitive. I think you're competitive. I think you want to be the best that you can be. You're competitive. And we all know the leaderboard. We all know who's on top of those boards. If you look through time and you go back and you look at, if you go back to 2008, 2009, you look at the guys that were on top of that board, guys and gals, and on top of that board, they were all selling REOs. And then you go back to 2011 and 12, Who was on top of that board? All of the people servicing the hedge funds and doing their acquisitions. Now the people on top of the board are the people working with the iBuyers. They just stopped buying. I mean, guys, this is an opportunity to reset the board. So the thing that should drive you every morning when you wake up is the fact that right now it's a level playing field. Everybody has an opportunity to excel in this market because it's not, and the best part is, it's never, in times of crisis, it's never the cheapest option that prevails. It's the best option. So if you can work and figure out how to work in this market effectively and service your clients better than the other people that are doing the job, you will rise on that leaderboard.
Awesome advice again. What are some of the things that you are doing to help your agents right now?
Yeah, well, we're definitely trying to keep them as connected as we can with good information as it comes out, but we're also trying to develop new products for them as fast as we can. One of the big ones that we've had is obviously a big hole in our market is what do you do with open houses? And I know that everybody's kind of talked a little bit about, oh, I'm going to do virtual open houses where I take my camera and I'm on it. That's a landing page. The thing you can't replace really in an open house is not a video of you walking through the house or the Matterport camera doing the full 3D renders, it's the signs. And we have been working with a geofencing company that now we're actually launching out to our agents tomorrow that will do virtual open houses where basically here's the house, we create a landing page with the Matterport tour with lead capture, and then we geofence the entire neighborhood of where the house is. Now, anybody with a cell phone that drives into that neighborhood is going to start getting served ads for the virtual open house. So just like they'd be driving around and see a sign, anytime they're on their smartphone on ESPN or wherever else, they're going to see an ad for this and then go through the Matterport tour. We can still do lead capture, but it's just another example of how to do hyper localized lead capture.
Last question I have for you is the agents out there. What advice is that you can give us, our agents here, to help us to go through, to handle these tough market that we're about to see coming very shortly?
Well, I would say that the number one thing is remember, like I said a minute ago, but you are a mirror. Your client is going to react to things the way that you do. And that is not just true in crisis, it's true in all times. When I have a super upset, high-strung client, I normally also have to deal with their super high-strung, upset agent. You can elevate your client's emotions or you can bring them down based on how calm you are. If you remain calm, if you give them good, solid advice through this time, then they will remain calm and they will make smart, good decisions. If you are frazzled and you don't know what's going to happen and you present this air of complete uncertainty, even though we all have that, if that is what you put out, your clients will react the same way. They will react that way and react negatively. Now, the number one question that I keep getting asked, and especially right now, is everybody's clients are saying the market's going to fall, the market's going to fall, the market's going to fall. It's going to be like 2007 is what a lot of people that are uneducated to our real estate market keep saying. Well, it's going to be like all the foreclosure, be like it was back then. Here is why that won't happen. Would you like to know that, Shane?
I sure do.
This is what you want to tell people when this happens. Now, explain to them that between 2010 and 2013, a tremendous amount of our local inventory was bought up by the hedge funds and they paid cash. A lot of it was bought up that way. This has now created kind of an artificial safety net because before in 07, when the market, 06, 07, when that happened, all of those properties were bought on 80-20 loans. Nobody had any skin in the game. They were all just like, people could just walk away because they didn't come out of pocket, which caused the foreclosure crisis. Now you've got this artificial safety net of some of the biggest banks in the world owning a tremendous amount of real estate in Las Vegas that they're not going to let those values fall below. If basically the prices of houses started to fall, they would start to buy again to shore up their initial investment. And because Las Vegas is essentially an island, we're just surrounded by sand instead of surrounded by water, we have no urban sprawl here whatsoever. It's very easy for them to control the values in our market. So I think that idea that like literally it's not the US government that's going to hold us up. It's Blackstone. It's Goldman Sachs. It's those companies that would hold us up.
Wonderful, wonderful information. I'm not sure if we touched on this, but I think one of the things that everybody, including agents, everybody out there right now would love to hear this. Should they be contacting all their creditors and renegotiate in terms of postponing payments or
oh my God, yeah.
payments, or Should they do that, or and how do they?
That's part of going guerrilla. I mean, with Simply Vegas, one of the nice things about our company, and again, I'm not trying to sell our company, but we actually have a concierge service for our clients that works for our clients, and they have relationships with Cox Cable, DirecTV, every bill that, ADT, Vivint, every single bill that you pay at your house, they have a relationship with, because they're turning all these services on for our clients when they move. Now, we have shifted, like Triage, we have shifted their focus, away from our new clients, which they're still helping them, but to our agents, and they're renegotiating their insurance, their cable bill. I mean, I own the company, and I just never thought about it. They called the Cox on my behalf. They lowered my monthly cable and internet bill by $117 a month. I didn't lose anything. They just lowered my bill $117. So if you have not done that, if you want to, you know what? Here's what I'll do. If Shane, just for you, because you whatever, but
you're awesome, man.
Any agent out there that wants help with their bills, just DM me. I'll connect you with them. It doesn't matter. We've kind of got through all the Simply agents now. They've done all that for them. Anybody that wants help with that, let me know. I'm happy to help that as well. There you go. Just DM me and I'll connect you with them, and they'll do what they do. But yes, you need to be renegotiating all of your bills right now, all of them.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your time. This has been an awesome conversation. You bring so much valuable information for us, man. You're awesome. You're one of the few leaders out there that I admire greatly, and you always managed, or always somehow say the right message at the right time when we need it the most. Thank you.
Well, Shane, you are the. I consider you're like the Switzerland of the LVR. You cut across all boundaries, and I don't know anybody in the world that doesn't like you. So yeah, I'm a fan of yours as well, buddy. So stay safe.
Thank you so much, John. Stay safe, and I see you when this is all over. And
for sure, buddy. For sure. Take care, Shane.
Take care. Bye.